Hey, welcome back to Grit Gym. This is Grit Gym Live. We come to you every day at 12:30 to talk about your health, your exercise, your mindset, your nutrition, and your recovery. You have to have all four of those. Exercise, you have to go out and you have to get good stress on your body so that it gets stronger, so that it gets healthier, and it has to be in a way that is improving your movement quality. It has to improve your movement quality. It has to improve your strength. It has to improve your cardiac output on some level, alactic, glycolytic, and aerobic training, and we got to be building speed and we got to be building power. So strength, power, speed, alactic, glycolytic, and aerobic power, and we have to focus on movement quality. And then when it comes to recovery, you have to find a way to engage in recovery throughout your day. Otherwise, your body's going to break down. The stress that you incur and accumulate outside of your workout far outweighs the stress that you're going to accumulate during your workout, which is what we're going through today. And then you also need good nutrition. You need to be putting vegetables in your body, be putting good meats in your body, you need to be good fats in your body, you need to be putting fruit in your body. I do not demonize any food. Any food is perfectly fine within reason, obviously. Like, is there anything really wrong with pizza? Is pizza really a bad food? Do we want to put bad on pizza? Because pizza's fucking delicious. So I'm not going to put bad on it, but certain foods are probably a little bit better than others depending on the circumstance. So if we're trying to gain a bunch of muscle, well, we need a bunch of highly calorically dense food. If we're trying to lose a lot of fat, we need less calorically dense food and more micronutrient dense food. But if you're stuck on a deserted island, you better hope that you have crates full of protein bars and candy bars and bacon. If you're trying to lose fat, those probably aren't the things that are going to help you out, right? But anyway, what are we talking? And then what was the other one? Oh, then you have to have a positive mindset. Stress hormones, all these kind of things. A positive attitude is going to get you more towards where you want to go than a negative attitude. If you are around a bunch of negative people and they don't like you being positive, then those aren't people that you want to be around. So the more positive that you are, the more people that you bring into your circle that are going to help you get to where you're wanting to go, and you're going to help them get to where they want to go. You bring a bunch of negative people into your circle, misery loves company, they're going to help you stay down. They're going to negatively influence your position in life, where you want to be and how you want to do it. And they're just going to help each other stay down there. You're just going to get sucked into their bullshit. So there's this huge separation between the positive and the negative people, the can-do, solution-oriented, go-hard people that you want to be around, and the negative, the misers, the people who say, you can't do that, that'll never happen. Well, that's true for them. It doesn't have to be accurate for you. So what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about recovery and the importance of recovery, because that's where all of the magic happens. No one ever got stronger in the gym. No one ever got leaner while they were eating broccoli. No one ever lost fat while they were on the treadmill or on a run or anything like that. No one ever gained any ounce of muscle while they were lifting weights. It all happened in the recovery portion. So when they were sleeping, when they were meditating, when they were laying on the couch, when they were in a parasympathetic state, when they were just evened out, when they were even keel, when they weren't going hard, that's when all the magic happens. So that's why we're talking about this today, because you're going to accumulate and you're going to incur far more stress outside your workout than during your workout. This is where it kind of comes in hard for a professional like me, and if there's other professionals watching this, I know that a few of you guys do. We try to manage your workout so that you'll have less stress on your body. Well, the stress during your workout is a good workout. Yes, it is stress, and your body doesn't differentiate between that. It doesn't matter if it's a fight with your spouse. It doesn't matter if your kids are giving you a hell of a time. It doesn't matter if you broke your leg. It doesn't matter if you did a ton of plyometrics. The body doesn't differentiate between those stresses any more than it's going to differentiate between a gunshot and a knife stabbing through your arm. It's not going to differentiate between the two. It doesn't care. The same stress hormones happen, the same response happens, the same inflammatory response would happen as with the same response that would happen if a knife went through your skin or a bullet goes through your skin. Both have the same response. Your body has millions and millions of years of evolution to make sure that this is the case. I know humans have only been around for about 195,000 years, but we are the descendants of the basically stardust. I mean, how far do you want to go back in life? I'm getting a little bit existential here, but if you want to go back before the Cambrian explosion, at some point there was just this thing that happened in the ocean, and all of a sudden there was life, and then it had this weird thing in it called DNA. All of us, all living things, share the ability to break down sugar on almost the exact same way, and that's what life started to create out of. So your ability to break down sugar in its most basic way is the exact same way that a tree is going to break down sugar. Isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy? Anyway, so I don't know where I was going with that at all. I have no idea. The little existential Adam was really going out into outer space there, huh? Anyway, so why do you incur more stress and accumulate more stress outside of the gym than you do during your workouts? It's pretty easy, because all we have to do is look at our errors, because this is one part mindset and one part recovery. And really, those four corners, they're not like you're just exercising or you're just focusing on nutrition, or you're just in your nutrition. Like when you're eating, you're probably recovering too. You should be in a parasympathetic state when you're eating. When you're exercising, you should be in a sympathetic state. When you are in a mindset, working on mindset, sometimes that can be a good stressor too. You can get into some really sympathetic states during mindset stuff. So all of this is kind of a Venn diagram. But what are our errors? Real errors, not false errors. I'm not talking about when you say, oh, sorry about that. When you didn't make an error, when you apologize for something that wasn't really there. Like, oh gosh, I used to do it all the time when I would make a joke that I thought that might be offensive. I'd be like, oh, sorry about that. I was just kidding. And like, why would I need to be sorry? There's nothing to be sorry for there. You didn't make an error. I deal with this with my nieces and nephews all the time, where they'll apologize for things. It's like, hey, did you do anything wrong? And they're like, they'll come back at me with something. I'll be like, is that wrong? Like, is there something wrong there? Do you think that that's wrong? They're like, no, I don't think so. But my mom yells at me about it. And I'm like, okay, well, then you're fine. Yeah, I don't think you made an error. You're fine. Don't be asking me for permission. I don't want the power to have to forgive you, is what I tell them, that I don't want that power to have to forgive them. But what are the real errors? Okay, so let's to break this down into something that is really tangible. What happens when somebody eats a candy that they really knew wasn't on the menu, wasn't what they should have been eating, wasn't when they should have been eating it, and they know that it was an error, right? I ate that candy. God damn it. I can't believe that I ate that candy. Well, you can either call this what it is and label it as an error, or you can go to anger and get all angry at yourself, another real error. Because what, like you didn't do good enough there? Like you didn't do enough there? Like it wasn't enough to just to give yourself like a little bit of a break and eat and forgive yourself and move on? Or they'll go to guilt. Maybe they do both. It's like they feel really guilty for eating that candy. This is emotional eating at its finest, right? You know, and then so both of those, the being angry at yourself for eating the candy, the error of eating the candy, because the candy probably isn't going to be a good stressor on your body. The anger wasn't a good stress on your body. The guilt wasn't a good stress on your body. Those are all accumulations of stress, and this is just one instance. How long did it take to eat that candy? I bet if you popped a candy in your mouth, you can't make it last a minute before you swallow. So that's one error in 1 minute that led to this. And what happens then? So you get all emotional about it. You're like, oh, well, God damn it, I can't believe I had that. So you go and you do something else, like maybe you get in a, so because you're angry at yourself and you're feeling guilty, you end up lashing out at somebody else, and they go, well, fuck you, whatever your name is, fuck you, Adam, like piss off. And then you get angry at them, and now you're more angry, so you go and you do something else, like you kick your cat, and then your cat doesn't, or I'm using a cat because I like dogs and I don't like cats very much. And then you have this like domino effect of all of these bad things. So you go back and you eat more candy to make yourself feel better, but then you just feel guilty and angry again, right? This is like the long list of domino effect of stressors and errors that just add up and add up and add up and add up throughout the day, and they're all based on that. Well, this one over here, Facebook mirrors me. So you're afraid that those fears of not being enough add up to these huge amounts of stress, and they're real errors that you're making. If you feel anger, you feel guilty, you feel, you put yourself in the victim category, you lash out at others, you get super negative on you get super negative on others. All started with this candy, this intangible object that is probably not that big of a deal if you just have one, but you go to anger, you go to guilt, and you accumulate all this stress. And this is just one thing. We could attach this to something else. This is just one thing, emotional eating. And then if you take down, how else do we accumulate all of our stress? Well, if we take that, we wake up at 6 a.m., we go to bed at 10 p.m., let's say, well, that's 8 hours of sleep, right? So I don't think that sleep is the thing here in the recovery game. Sleep is very important. If you go to bed at 10 and you wake up at 6, you're doing very well. But we have to do some other things to get better sleep and to get better recovery during the day. So if we're adding up, we're sleeping for 8 hours, we've got 16 hours of being awake. So 16 hours of being awake, and just in that, so 16 hours, how many, that's 60 times, what is that? That's 600 plus, what's 64? No, that's not, 36. I think I have the right math there, 636 minutes. That you could be eating that candy and having that emotional response and having that anger, that guilt, and that stress. And so it just accumulates out. Now you've got 1 hour workout. You know, that might be a good stress, but it's still stress. Remember, the body doesn't differentiate between these things. So all the other stresses that you had are not going to allow your body to recover from the good stress that was put on it, so it won't get the benefits of. So if you're working out really hard and you're still having all this stress over here in the rest of your life, you're not going to get the benefits of your workout here. So even though you had a good stress, it's still stress. All right, then we go into and we watch the news. Let's say we watch the news for 1 hour of the 16 hours that we're awake. Now we're up to 2 hours of being awake. We watch the news. That's just more garbage. That's just more stress. Then you go to work for 8 to 10 hours a day. That's just more stress. Usually for most people, the number of people, I forget what the statistics are, but the number of people who actually enjoy their jobs is like, I think it's like less than 20%. Not that I think that your job should fulfill you on a life level. That's ridiculous. But I hope that you enjoy it on some level. I hope that everybody enjoys their life. But that's still stress. You're probably still in a more sympathetic state when you're at work. So that's 10 hours. That's 10 to 12 hours that we are in a sympathetic state of the 16 hours that we are awake. 8 hours of sleep is not going to take care of that unless it's really, really good sleep. And even then, I think that there's some other things. If every minute we felt some kind of anxiety, if once an hour we felt some kind of anger, you know, old memories, you got pissed off at something made you mad, even though those are bullshit that you're making up to get yourself angry. Still, they're stressors. What if someone comes to your office or into your day and they start complaining about something, or they start venting? We talked about this a little yesterday, that venting is just somebody dumping their garbage right on top of their head. Why would you let them do this? And if you're gonna let them do this, you might as well charge them. Be like, okay, well, if you're gonna sit here and vent to me, then let's make this a transaction. But what you're really getting into here, and this isn't something I've talked a lot about this show because it sounds very like flu nonsense, but the subconscious mind. So we have a conscious mind, subconscious mind, and we like to think as human beings, we like to think that we have this huge conscious mind that is very powerful and it'll overcome everything. But the conscious mind in human brains is actually very, very new. Your reptilian brain is the oldest part of you. That's where all your survival mechanisms happen. So reproduction, food, and fight or flight are all in that. And we're all, and anytime that you're in those states, like obviously those are very good things. Reproduction, fight or flight, and food are things that are one part. Nature is an interesting thing. It made all of our survival mechanisms. It based them on pleasure and it based them on survival. So you have no stronger will than your will to survive. So of those three things, you're going to go for them. But then you have your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is it's running the show. Your whole show, everything, whether you're a winner, whether you're wired to think that you're always going to win, that you're wired to, you don't know if you're going to win or lose, so you don't want to, you're not really wired to win, but you're not really wired to lose, you're kind of wired to not win. And the person who's wired to lose, those are all partly in that subconscious mind. The fear of not being enough is in that subconscious mind. and we don't really get access to it. The subconscious mind will always trump the conscious mind. The conscious mind is the one that we think with right now. Like, hey, where are you? See, now you're like that little pattern interrupt right there. Like, that was weird of me to do, right? Because I've just been blabbering on and on and on here for a while. But hey, you with me? Like that kind of stuff. That puts us in this conscious state. Like, where are we right now? I'm in an office, and it's about 12:50. And I'm wearing a black shirt. I'm right here, right now. I'm only thinking about right here, right now. That's very conscious. But what are you when you're not super conscious? You're not all there. Then your subconscious is running the show, and you would go basically insane if you're constantly conscious. But we want to build that conscious muscle out. Once we build that conscious muscle out, and I'm going to get into some of the solutions here in a second, then we are more present and we can plan for the future, we can learn from the past, and we can stay right here, right now, and perform better because of that. And we'll have less of those stresses. So your subconscious mind, it's going to trump the conscious every single time until we start working on getting more and more and more conscious. And then we can confront and we can challenge the subconscious to push us towards where we actually want to go in life, not where the subconscious is just going to inevitably take us. This is fate. You typically get your fate from your fate or your script, your story, whatever you want to call it, from your opposite gendered parent. For instance, in my family, my mom, she has one brother and a bunch of sisters. So of all the sisters, all of those boy cousins all have an extremely similar script. Almost all of us. We're all go-hards. We're all like full of energy. We're all super up for the challenge. We're all super hard workers. We're all it's like it's ingrained in our DNA to push for those things. Well, that's exactly how my grandpa on my mom's side was. It's our script is just extremely clear. Our fate is just extremely clear that we are about the process towards something bigger. All of us, every one of my male cousins on my mom's side are almost the exact same way. But how do we get into this challenging the subconscious mind? Because it sounds so flu nonsense bullshit. And the first time I had to hear this about 30 times before I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can get along with that. That makes sense. And even then, I was like, I was just I think I'm still just scratching the surface of what this stuff can actually do. But the first thing, if we are going to dampen the amount of stress that we're accumulating in our day to day, outside of workouts and outside of sleep, if we're gonna shrink that down, then we have to be willing to practice doing so. We have to be willing to practice every single day. And the way that I practice is by doing these things that are below. But if you're not willing to practice this, and if you're not willing to work on it, then it's never going to work. Like, no matter what, like I can give all of these other things, and it'll never work because you'll never work at it if you don't accept that practice has to be there, that it has to be a thing. When you go into a gym, what are you doing? You're practicing strength, you're practicing movement, you're practicing cardio so that you get better at those things. When you go to work, you're practicing. When you went to school, you were practicing. When you do your day-to-day life, whether you want to accept it or not, you're always practicing because you're always getting a little bit better at whatever it is you're doing, even if it's the thing that is going to not get you where you want to go. I see this a lot in gyms where people think that they're working really, really hard on the wrong things in the wrong way, and it's taking them down a path that's not going to get them where they want to go, and it's really, really sad to watch. So you have to be willing to practice. The solution is you have to be willing to practice. And number two, you ask the 2 questions. And also, I wore the Do It Anyway shirt on purpose for this video because you're never going to want to do this stuff. You're never going to want to practice. You're never going to want to ask yourself the 2 questions. You make yourself do it anyway. And I actually use it this is why we have the One Life Planner. I'll go to a page that doesn't have all my stuff written all over so you can actually see it. See across the top, this is the other thing you do. You ask yourself the 2 questions. Am I going to be afraid? Am I going to be all in today? Or am I going to be afraid that I'm not enough today? This is extremely important. If you do not set the intention, there's no way that it's going to happen. Or I shouldn't say there's no way. I like to believe that all things are possible. But are you more likely to do something if you set the intention or if you just hope that maybe it'll happen someday? Like, I write down my goals every single day because I think that I'm more likely to get that thing if I set the intention. There's a painting in my room that I painted. I said, one of my friends said, what do you want to do in 2012, I think it was. And I was like, I want to paint a painting. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. So I made a sheet, put it in my office up on the wall, taped it to the wall. About halfway through the year, threw it away. Just didn't think it was that big of a deal. Wasn't going to be unhappy if I didn't paint that painting. However, 3 months later, I'd forgotten completely about this note that I had. I had bought all the materials to paint, and I was like just setting them in another room, saying, I need to do that, I need to do that. And finally, I just put them right in the middle of the hallway, so I would have to jump over them every time I wanted to go through the hallway. That thing was done in a week. I had that painting done in a week. And then about a day later, I found that stupid note saying what I wanted to do in 2012. I'd set the intention and it happened. It wasn't like flu nonsense. It just, no, you're never going to, like, if you don't want to, like, no one's going to bring you a hamburger just because you think about hamburgers. You have to set the intention. I want a hamburger, so you go get the hamburger, so you take action on it. So ask yourself the two questions. Are you going to be all in today, or are you going to be afraid that you're not enough today? Then meditate. Meditate on that. By meditation, I don't mean you have to do box breathing or anything fancy. Sit, close your eyes, sit up tall, get relaxed, in a state that you can hang out in, and don't move. Do not move. This is part of the deal. You don't get to move. You're practicing doing this. So you breathe in through your nose, you breathe out through your nose, you try to push all your air straight down into your pelvis, and you do that for, set a timer. Don't try to go for just like whenever you want, because you'll look at your watch every 2 seconds. Set a timer for 5 minutes, work up to 15. Conscious awareness. We have to know when we're making the errors that we set up front. If you start getting angry, this is a signal. Hey, you're making an error. What do you do when you make an error? 1, you have to acknowledge that you made the error. You have to be consciously aware of the error. Number 2, you learn from it. Why was I getting angry? What was going on there? Why was I afraid that I wasn't enough? And number 3 is you move on. Once you learn as much as you possibly can from something, you got to move on from it and be present in that next moment that you are in right now. The anger is back there. So that number, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Conscious awareness is number 4. Number 5 is you have to confront the beast. Okay. Part of learning is the confrontation. Okay. We don't like to think of criticism and confrontation as education, but they are. They're just in different orders. When we educate, we give all the information up front, and then somebody screws up, and then there's the education, right? Or then there's the confrontation and criticism. But the other way around, it's still just a continuum of the same thing. So confront the beast. You have something going on. You have this not enough stuff that you're going to these errors. You're going to anger. You're going to anxiety. You're going to old memories. You're getting pissed off. You're getting offended. Something made you mad. Whatever position you want to put yourself in. And I do this too. I have to be aware of it. Sometimes in regular conversation, if you guys are around me a lot, you'll find I'll hear other people do it. I'll just kind of let them go with it, and I'll be like, yeah. I don't feel like confronting them at that moment in time. It's not always a good thing to do, to hound on people all the time. And people can take it wrong. And anyway, I choose to do it later when we're just them and I. But confront the beast. If you don't do this, if you don't confront it, you won't sleep as well, so you won't recover as well. You won't have as good of workouts because you won't be all there. You won't be as good of a parent. You won't be as good at your job. You won't be all the things that you want to be in your life, and it just won't go as well if you do not have the guts to confront this thing. Part of practicing is confronting what you did, what errors that you made, and why you made them. Part of the learning process is confronting that beast within you, figuring out why it is that you're afraid. It's very, very, very difficult to get scared and sit there and go and stick with it and be like, why am I scared? Why am I scared? It's very, very difficult because it's so easy to stay stubborn. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's so easy to stay stubborn and get all righteous and justify the shit out of that anger and that guilt and that anxiety. But who's that helping? It's not helping anybody that I care about. It sure isn't helping me, and it's not helping me get to where I want to go. It's not helping you get to where you want to go. And if I'm your coach, then that's not helping anything either. So, and if I'm your coach and you're feeling that way, you're getting anxious, you're getting angry, you're feeling guilty, that's not helping us get to where we want to go. So it's not helping you, it's not helping me, it's not helping anybody in your, I want to say family because it all rhymed there. But I should not. I should stop on the rhymes. But anyway, when it comes to recovery, you're going to incur a lot more, and you're going to accumulate a lot more stress outside your workout than you are during your workout, and these come by the way of errors. Anytime that we feel guilty, feel anger, feel anxious, these are errors that we are making because we are considering and finding it reasonable that we are not enough. It is not reasonable to think that you cannot do your absolute gut-wrenching best. And if you can do your absolute gut-wrenching best, then do that and know that that is enough in the moment, in any moment. Your gut-wrenching best is you are enough to do your absolute gut-wrenching best. And in that, you don't accumulate as much stress during your waking hours, and you can have better sleep. But it doesn't just happen. It's not just a switch that you turn. This is something that you practice and you work on and you work on it by every morning you set the intention. Am I going to be afraid that I'm not enough today? Or am I going to be all in today? And then you meditate on that for 5 to 15 minutes. Don't allow yourself to move. You're pushing for being able to control or have influence over your body's ability to relax and go back and forth between these sympathetic and parasympathetic states. And you have to get consciously aware of your actions when you're feeling afraid. So when you're feeling anger, when you're feeling anxiety, when you're feeling guilty, those are signals that you are considering it reasonable that you are not enough. Do not take those. Confront those. Those are the beasts that you have to confront. Those are your fears that you have to confront. And it takes a lot of guts to do this. It is not easy, but those are your subconscious mind's kind of signals to you saying, hey, we got to change some stuff. So I hope this video helped. There's quite a bit of this stuff that I've had to deal with myself, that I've had a lot of clients that have had to deal with. I think that our inner commonalities greatly outweigh our external differences. So I think everybody has this on some level. I don't think anybody is exempt from this, but what I can tell you is that when somebody else has their shit together, or when you are the one that's afraid, everybody else looks like they have their shit together, but everybody else is just as scared as you. It's just how much bullshit are they, can they throw out there to put the front on, right? The mask, the front, the bullshit. But if we can get more in tune with ourselves, we can remove that mask, then we can get to the point where you can say, if I have nothing to defend, then how could I ever be attacked? Anyway, thanks for being here, guys. I'm gonna get off of here because I think I'm actually a little bit past time. But anyway, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Please take the time to share and to like and to comment. I like hearing from you guys. It's always really fun. So anyway, thanks. What is today? Wednesday? We'll see you tomorrow.